What does the law of inertia really mean? This is a great question because right now what we know is that when an object is in motion, it stays in motion. When an object is at rest, it stays at rest unless acted on by an outside force. But isn't that just to say if an object is in motion and it stays in that same type of motion, or an object is at rest, it stays at rest, just to say acceleration 0? And doesn't that just mean that unless it's acted on by an outside force, meaning that the net force is 0? Isn't that just the same thing as Newton's second law? So, it seems suspicious, right? Why would you put the same law twice? The law of inertia actually has something more important in it. The law of inertia has to be used before you can use Newton's second law. So the law of inertia is can you use Newton's second law or not? It's a check. A check of what? It's a check of your reference frame. It's a check to see, are you working in an inertial reference frame? So let's go ahead and examine what inertial reference frames are and are not. Because in inertial reference frames, the law of inertia will hold. Inertia, check. So let's go ahead and look at some dice. Let's take this set of dice. We're going to put it in your car rearview mirror. Now you can't actually do that because that's illegal, but we can pretend. So you're not allowed to block your view. So we're going to take these and we're going to put them in your car. And we're going to have your car do some different things. So let's make some copies of them. So if your car is at rest, then your dice will just hang straight down on your mirror. But now, what if your car begins to go forward? So you have a change in velocity forward. You're pressing the gas. What will your dice do? Well, your dice are going to move forward, backwards, right? They're going to swing. So think about it. Be in your car, push the gas. As you push the gas, the dice are at rest. They want to stay at rest. So they will start to swing backwards like this in your car. Okay, now let's say you want to stop your car. So you were going forward, but now you're pressing the brake. Press the brake. So your change in velocity is this way. Now what are your dice doing? Well, after coasting for some while and you press the brake, then your dice were going to the right, and so they're going to keep going to the right. And your dice are going to swing out like this. Those times pressing the brake and pressing the gas, when you have a change in velocity, are times when the dice are hanging at some strange angles. So we are experiencing non-inertial frames in those times. Let me show you what I mean. So when you press the brake, the dice keep swinging forward. When you press the gas, the dice appear to swing backwards. But to you, you're inside the car. And so from your frame of reference, it doesn't look like you're changing velocity. There's no change in velocity for you. You are with the car and with the dice. So you will think something weird is going on, because what you see is an object experiencing a force without experiencing an acceleration, so you understand. So the dice have a string, a tension force, pulling up and to the right, or braking and up and to the left, whichever. And the up part of that tension is obvious because it needs to balance the weight of your dice. The weird part, though, is the left and right part of your tension, this part. This part of your tension, T subscript X, let's call it, doesn't have a counterbalancing part over here. So what it means is that your TX shows you that there is acceleration. Your TX says you're accelerating to the right. Your Tx in this picture says that you're accelerating to the left. But remember, you think there is no change in velocity because you are with the dice, not changing velocity. This is an example of a non-inertial frames. So when you are in a car that is accelerating, when you are in a reference frame that accelerates, when you are in a reference frame that accelerates, that is a non-inertial frame. It means that your free body diagrams are going to have something that you think is fictitious. You don't understand why there's a Tx. So what you do is you invent some sort of fictitious force. And you say, well, to understand what I am seeing in my frame where there is no delta V, I'm seeing no acceleration, I'm going to invent a counterbalancing force. F fake. It's not a real force. There's nothing actually pulling the dice that way. But to make it understand what you are seeing, an A as 0, you need to have a fictitious force. Whenever you need to invent a fictitious force in order to understand what's going on, then you are in non-inertial frames. So reference frames that accelerate are non-inertial frames. They need fictitious forces to accurately describe what's going on. If this is your case, you may not go on to use the sum of the forces equals ma, because it will get you the wrong answer. The only way it would work is by you adding a force into your picture, right? So that's the check that law of inertia provides. It says, do you see an object in motion staying in motion, an object at rest staying at rest, as long as the net force is 0? And if you say, yeah, I see that, then go ahead and use Newton's second law. But if you say, no, I don't see that at all. I see a Tx to the right, but an A of 0, what the heck? That means you cannot go ahead and use Newton's second law. You'll have to use a fictitious force to make your Newton's second law work for you. And that's the true meaning of the law of inertia.